Let me switch the side because I have an intro all written up.
You're fabulous.
Yes, our guest speaker today is from Mitchell College in New London, Connecticut. Stephanie has been on Mitchell's staff since 2016 and has been the head athletic trainer since August 2018. She has worked a number of cheer and dance camps as a member of varsity event administration's first aid staff. Stephanie graduated from LaSalle College in 2004 with her bachelor's degree in athletic training and was on the volleyball and softball team. She received her master's degree in psychology with a concentration in sports psychology in 2013 from Capella University. Please give Stephanie a round of applause for joining us.
Thank you. Very excited to be here. And I was just telling my for those of you who joined late, my little brother did Special Olympics for a number of years. So very excited, and see a few familiar faces. So
This first slide, I just put what some of the most common sports injuries are. I know the one that most people don't know what a concussion is. Did you want to explain that?
Sure. Well, we can go down the list too. So sprains and strains are basically a pulling over and over stretching. The difference between the two is a sprain occurs to a ligament, which is between two bones. So like in your knee or your elbow, and a strain is a muscle. Your Achilles tendon is, well, yeah, knee injuries can cover a lot. Obviously, swollen muscles, same idea as either if you get hit, get a bruise or anything. Your Achilles tendon is the tendon behind your ankle, that strong tendon that kind of sticks out. I know pain along the shin bone is something a lot of people experience, commonly referred to as shin splints, right? Kind of an overuse injury. Rotator cuff is in your shoulder, usually a throwing kind of motion injury. Broken bones. A dislocation is just when the joint goes out of place. Along the same lines, something called a subluxation is where it goes out of place, but it comes back in its own. So then, yeah, a concussion is one of the harder injuries to deal with. It's an injury to your brain. So what tends to happen is when you get a blow to the head, or not even necessarily, what happens is your brain gets sort of swooshed around, right? So what actually happens is your brain hits the inside of your skull. Does that make sense to everybody? So it's your brain that gets the bruise. So it commonly happens with a hit to the head, but it can also happen with a sudden stop, like if you were in a car accident, with a stop of momentum. So the hard part about this is you don't necessarily have any physical injuries, or no, like visible injuries, sorry. But you'll have a headache, you'll feel nauseous, you can have some vision problems, you can have some emotional problems, changes, that kind of thing. So it can be a very serious injury. I won't get into too much because I know you have, Abby, you have a lot more about it later in your presentation, but yes, it's essentially an injury to the brain where it's gotten jostled around a bit, and it can affect your ability to concentrate and to think and that kind of thing. Does it make sense? Any quick questions about it there?
No, and this tells you, I just put what you should do if you get hurt. That you should always stop, and if you can, tell someone.
Yeah. Right. So So an injury while playing, usually common stuff like if you roll your ankle, you usually feel like a sharp pain is usually a good sign. So yeah, certainly if you're at a game or practice, let a coach know, or someone. Rest is always good. Ice, a big fan of ice and athletic training. We're all big fans of ice. We ice pretty much everything. Abby has done a great job of laying out the RICE method here. Resting, ice, compression, elevation. I will say one of the things in recent years is we've changed our perspective on rest. So for us, rest is, in that moment, you'll stop, you'll take a break, you'll ice it. But when I first went to school, it used to stop, like brace the injury and like crutches and all that. We don't do that anymore. Resting now is just more of like an active rest. So we look more towards modified activity. We don't like to stop anymore, because doing nothing can cause almost as much harm. Because what it can do is it can give the swelling a chance to settle and to sit, and you can lose a lot of muscle mass. So you rest, you want the pain to go away, but then what you really want to do is you want to work on range of motion. If that makes sense, like especially with an ankle, you sort of move it around, like turn it, especially when it's elevated. This gives you a chance to work on, it helps with the pain, it helps get some of the swelling out. You want to be as weight bearing as possible. I mean, you shouldn't go back into running, but walking around on the injury can help get it better faster. So yeah, when you think of rest, don't think of it as sitting around doing nothing. Think of it as scaling back your activity level. Any questions with that?
And this just tells you when you should seek medical attention for like
for the more serious injuries.
Yeah, for the more serious injuries. Come on, I can attest to that because I've had to not do a lot with injuries.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is again, it's a great list of sometimes the more serious. So yeah, absolutely. Some injuries will obviously be worse than others. So one of the things you look at is pain that interferes with movement. Definitely, if the pain is bad enough that we call it, you can't be weight bearing, which means you can't stand up and put your full weight on like your ankle or your knee or something, you're considered non-weight bearing. So basically, if you're at the point where you can't get around on your own, we would consider that a more serious injury. It doesn't get better with time, definitely. Yeah, if after 2 or 3 days you don't see any improvement, you would definitely seek more medical attention. Massive swelling, definitely. I will say everybody swells differently. Some people will get injured and it won't swell till 2 days later. Some people will swell right away and the next day it'll look fine. So it helps to know your own body, but certainly if you have a large amount of swelling that doesn't get better, that's something to look into. Bruising is definitely something to pay attention to. You don't think about it, but bruising is technically internal bleeding. So if you have a large amount of it, you want to keep an eye on it. Inability to use the injured area, definitely. Deformity, obviously, because you want to rule out a fracture or anything. And the hard hit to head, again, because you would want to rule out a concussion, it would be very important. So yeah, this is a good list to look at. It's this is certainly the kind of stuff, again, you should always check in with someone, but this is the type of list that you would want to either follow up at the ER or with a doctor, like an orthopedic doctor.
And yeah, I see most of these during Special Olympics because I'm on the medical team, so I kind of see
great.
most of these injuries.
Oh,
Tend
great.
to help out. So my brother's is in the medical field.
Oh,
So
great.
I figured to get certified for first aid, CPR, and AED. And so most of the time I do like mostly minor injuries. I haven't dealt with any major ones yet, but we have an awesome medical team that's really is helpful.
Right. Which is right. I mean, sometimes minor can turn into more like one that I can think of with bleeding is I've seen a couple of nosebleeds that wouldn't stop. So like if a nosebleed goes on for like longer than 30 minutes, that's also the kind of thing you would have to go to a doctor for to get it looked at. Even a sprained ankle, like we'll treat a lot of sprained ankles in the office here instead of referring them out, but we can't make a sprained ankle better in 2 weeks. Like you'll have to go to a doctor, but. Oh, here's another, I did make a note on that last one. Some of when you're recovering from an injury, a good way to distinguish between types of injury. Sharp pain is usually more indicative of a serious injury, whereas sorry, I didn't mean to mess you up.
Oh, that's okay. Hey, that's okay. I can just go back to her. No worries. You can continue.
All right, so I made notes at the bottom of my page and I missed them. But when you're recovering from an injury, but that whole where it doesn't get better, sharp pain is usually indicative of a more serious injury. Where like a dull ache is usually more of a soreness that's going to get better over time. If that so, for anybody who's ever had an injury, that sharp pain, not a great. Dull, achy pain is usually something that's gonna, if you ice it, stretch it, and move it around, that's usually something that'll get better. Just a way to help you distinguish between the two types of pain. Sorry. Okay.
How to recover from an injury. Obviously, rest. If you can do stuff, you do it. Rehab, which means do your exercises that the rehab person gives you.
Absolutely.
Stay focused and positive.
Always good.
And minimize future risk.
Definitely, yeah. Great. I also love the learn to listen to your body is one of the most important things I teach all my athletes. Especially, a lot of athletes at any level, and you try to play through pain, which is okay to an extent, but always remember that pain is your body's way of telling you to pay attention to it. It wants you to know that something's wrong. And the other thing I always tell my athletes, rehab is how you get better. Pain doesn't just go away. If you sit around and do nothing, you're gonna lose a lot of muscle mass and stuff. So if you want to get better and still stay strong and competing at a high level, rehab is the way you do it. Because it helps you get back and stay at the competitive level. And staying positive is always important. Like there's always a psychological component to any injury, right? It's hard to be away from your sport. It's hard to be away from your teammates, to not be helping out your team. It can be tough, but it's important to stay focused. I like to, whenever you can, still support your team and let your teammates support you through your injury, Sometimes if there's part of your rehab that you can do at practice, like I think it's great, so you can still be a part of the team, right? And minimizing future risks, that's stuff like in athletic training, we do a lot of what's called preventative medicine, ankle bracing, taping, icing after practice, stretching before practice, all that kind of stuff helps you prevent injuries and stop you getting hurt in the future.
I don't know if you want to explain this one more.
Okay.
about the concussion.
Yes. So one of the things we talk about a lot is, not every hit to the head will result in a concussion. But anytime you get hit and you have a headache that lasts more than 10 minutes, you should get evaluated. You should let someone know, like, hey, I hit my head pretty hard and now I don't feel good. And then you should sit out and just see how you feel. It might not be anything, but it could, it could be. You want to make sure about what it is. If it does turn out to be a concussion, rest is the best thing for you. In terms of getting evaluated is also important. Let your coach know, get evaluated by a trainer or a doctor. And part of that is just, it's important to have it documented, because one of the dangers with concussions is having multiple concussions. So anytime you have one, it's important that someone knows so that it's documented that you had one. Resting is important. You want to rest until you're symptom free. There are several apps these days so you can track your symptoms, because there's a lot of symptoms that people aren't aware of, like blurred vision, changes in your emotions, nausea. There's just a very long list, but resting is great for it. And then they have a lot of, what they found is that people were going back to activity as soon as their headaches were gone, but you're not really all better. So they've sort of started a gradual return, kind of like, rehab for your brain, which has helped prevent a lot of secondary concussions and things like that. Which again, I know you have more on you have further stuff on this, so I won't jump the gun on your great presentation, but yeah, getting evaluated is very important. I will reiterate that. Letting someone know that you got hit, taking the time to rest and recover are all very important when you get hit in the head.
Yeah, I know. I just watching sports on TV, especially soccer.
Yeah, some of those hits are.
I know, because I was just saying, yeah. I didn't realize even you could get a concussion even playing goalie.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's that change in direction and momentum, like just having your.
Yeah, because I know pro sports and some college sports have concussion protocols.
Is it? Yes, you can be knocked unconscious from a. Sorry, Kimberly wrote it. You can get knocked unconscious if you get hit hard enough from a concussion. You can forget where you are for a little bit, depending on the severity of the hit. Loss of memory is another severity. So there's different levels. Some people get hit and all they have is the headache, and it's very mild. Some people will get hit and get knocked out, and will end up transporting to the hospital. We had a soccer player that got hit, and we were able to walk him off the field, but he was like staggering and like really had to be helped because he couldn't really walk on his own. And then when we got him off the field, he hadn't even remembered that the game had started and didn't realize why he wasn't starting in goal, because he was the starting goalie, and he was just very, very confused. And honestly, he was very upset because, he wasn't starting. And so, yeah, there's definitely different levels, but you can absolutely get knocked on. I don't know about it. Yeah, you'd have to get hit pretty hard to go into like a coma, but knocked unconscious for 2 or 3 minutes, I've seen that before.
Hello. My computer was misbehaving.
Yeah.
These were just some activities I did research. They told you not to do after you get a concussion.
Yes. And basically the idea behind this is you have to think of your brain as a muscle. that needs rest. So these are all activities that will require you to like think and use your brain muscles. But it's your brain that's injured. So you have to let your brain rest and recover. So these are the kind of things that would stress it out. So, which can be hard. Because I mean, it's like, what are you supposed to do? Well, I mean, if your concussion is serious enough, all you're really wanting to do is sort of rest and relax. So, which I know can seem boring, but like, chances are if you try to do any of these things with a back concussion, you're going to increase your headache. And the more you increase your headache from doing these activities, the longer it will take you to recover from your concussion. Oh, actually thinking of that now, the other thing we tell people to avoid right after a concussion is we actually tell you not to take Tylenol, which might seem weird, but one of the reasons is you need to monitor your symptoms, and Tylenol would obviously mask the headache, which means you can't monitor it to see if it gets worse. And worsening symptoms of a concussion can indicate an actual bleed on the brain, which would need to be, you would have to go to the ER to get a scan of your brain to see how serious the bleed was, or if it was actually bleeding. Yeah. So until your symptoms have stabilized, or until you know that they're getting better, you have to avoid taking anything that will mask your symptoms. Water in the brain? Is that what you mean, bleeding in the brain, Kimberly?
Well, like, I don't want to mention names, but sometimes people may just like go down, and sometimes they may just have like stuff that's like goes to the head, and sometimes they might have like water in the brain, and the doctors will find it.
I don't know if I've ever heard it described. I know you can get a brain bleed. If your brain gets hit hard enough from the concussion.
Yeah, the reason is because like say if an athlete just go down unexpectedly and unexpectedly has like water like that's in the head, and it comes unexpectedly.
I'm not sure about that one. I mean, you have cerebral spinal fluid that's in your brain already that's supposed to be like cushioning it. So like that's what it's supposed to be cushioning your brain. So like you're supposed to have that fluid there, but that's what gets sort of jostled around. If the fluid gets decreased for any reason, that can be dangerous. I've never heard of the water being increased. I think that would be a medical problem as opposed to something caused by injury.
All right, let me. Did you want to go over this? Whoops. Sorry.
Have you teach first?
Hold on.
I have taught a few lessons on it's okay. I have taught a few like first aid problems. We do Mitchell College does we do a few internships here, and we have a forget the name of the class, unfortunately, prevention and care. We let students come in and shadow us for a few times. And then we sponsor a few internships into the training room.
I don't know if you want to go over this. It's the return to play.
Yeah, so this is what we do
after a concussion.
Yeah, so this is what we do for our athletes before they can return to the field for a game. So the biggest thing is you have to be symptom-free before you start this. So no activities. So the first step is there's really no limit. Like step one is really rest. So that can last however long they need. So step one lasts until they're symptom free. So that second step is actually the first step of recovery. Light aerobic, we'll usually have them run or ride the bike or something. So you'll ride the bike, and as long as you do that one day, no return of symptoms, great. The next day, sport specific. So we change that up obviously by sport. So we'll tell them to go outside, and like softball players, like find a friend, go play catch for like 20, 30 minutes. Soccer players go pass the ball, shoot on the goal or something. Basketball players go, shoot some hoops kind of thing. Same idea, like come in afterwards, sit on the couch for 20 minutes, right? Not even 10 minutes. No symptoms, great, you've passed that step. For non-contact, that's when we'll usually let them do a full practice, but like the only drills they can do are non-contact. So you're not allowed to run into anybody, you're not allowed to body up with anybody, you can do everything your teammates are doing, but you can't get hit. And then the last one's the most important, you do the full practice, full contact. And until you've had a full practice, full contact, you can't play a game. So until they've completed that fifth step, they can't be cleared to play in a game. Basically, the idea is to make sure slowly but surely, you slowly increase their activity, their heart rate, and all that stuff to make sure they're fully recovered, that they're not going to get a return of symptoms as we increase their activity and increase their heart rate, just to really make sure that the concussion's gone, that they're not going to have any reoccurring symptoms or any reoccurring problems. Like I said, it's basically rehab for your head to make sure that when we're clearing you to play, that you're 100% all better. One of the things we're really trying to prevent with this is what's called secondary concussion symptom, which is where you get a second concussion before you're completely healed from the first concussion, which can really have some really bad consequences. So
Never had one, don't want one.
it can be pretty hard. A lot of people struggle with it because it's one of those, if you sprain your ankle, everybody can see the swelling. And if you had ACL surgery, everybody sees the scar. But if you're struggling through a concussion, nobody can really see how much you're injured or how much you're working through. So it can, from a psychological point, it's one of the injuries people struggle with a lot.
Injury prevention tips.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of the things that we should do is be warming up and cooling down.
Yes. I will say people usually do a good job of warming up. And a lot of people don't put the time into a cool down that they should, but a cool down is very important and can really help with preventing injuries. I will say for warming up, dynamic stretching is the big one now, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, like high knees, right?
Mm-hmm.
All
Butt
that kind of stuff.
kicks.
Yep. So that's what's called dynamic stretching. So the idea is that you're getting the heart rate going and you're stretching out a group of muscles as opposed to an individual muscle, like static stretching. So that's great. It gets the whole body moving and gets everything warm. It's great for warming up. Static stretching is still great. Like if you have a specific muscle that's still hurt or even an old injury or something, it's great to still do static stretching to focus on that muscle or that muscle group. I'm a big fan of cool downs. I think they're really important. Not a lot of people do them. I don't know if you see a lot of soccer teams I see do it. Even after a game, like you just played a really hard 90-minute game, and win or lose, they'll line up on the sideline afterwards and they'll do some light sprints.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool down, which in their sport really important. Like you just ran for like 90 minutes. Like you got to let those muscles like de-stress a little bit.
Yeah, and when I watch soccer on TV, I'll see them on the sideline warming up.
Yeah, so it's really important to let those muscles cool down after a hard workout. But yeah, stretching, even on your day off, stretch out your muscles can be really helpful. So
Yeah, because it increases range of motion, flexibility, and
let's see. I haven't seen any of those cool down videos. Fit 5.
yeah, Fit
So,
5
yeah.
is what we use, yeah. Because it comes with exercise cards too
Oh, great.
that give you exercises to do, different levels.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we have 5 levels, and we use those to warm up and to cool down before and after practices.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, after is really important, and not enough people really focus on the after, but it can be very important in preventing injuries.
Yeah, I even do a cool down after I exercise at home.
Yeah. Definitely.
Use the right protective gear. Got to make sure it fits.
Absolutely.
And that's like shin guards and
Right. Yeah, depending on the sport.
helmets. For me, it's sports glasses.
Yeah.
Because I learned the lesson the first time I played goalie. I took a ball to the face. Wearing regular glasses. And I'm like, that's it. Stay hydrated. Drink before, during, and after.
Yeah.
Water, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't slack on strength training, which is that weightlifting?
Usually, I mean, it comes in different forms: weightlifting, plyometrics, which is using your own body weight to strength train, like planks and squats and wall push-ups, that kind of thing, wall slides. There's a lot of great programs you can like at-home workouts you can do if even if you don't have weights available. There's some great at-home workouts you can put together if you ever need anything.
Yeah, because I use a couple workout apps, and
Yeah.
some of the stuff you don't need weights or anything for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's some great ones you can do, and you can advance them, like, go into one-legged ones and stuff, standing rows and stuff like that. Staying hydrated, extremely important. The old saying in most medical fields, if you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. So hydrating before, super important. Water is important. But if you, especially on warm summer days when you're sweating a lot, some Gatorade or Powerade is important too, to replace some of the electrolytes you're losing. Hydration can be very important too for concussion prevention too, because dehydration can make you more susceptible to concussion. It can also, dehydration can mimic concussion symptoms. So you can feel like you have a concussion, all you actually are is dehydrated. So if you're staying hydrated, you can help prevent a concussion. It'll also help if, at least you won't mistake dehydration for concussion, that kind of thing. But yeah, strength training, always great.
Avoid overdoing it.
Absolutely. Overtraining can be a big one. Especially that's the kind of the dull achy pain I mentioned before. So if you're starting to feel the strain, a little bit of soreness the next day is okay, but if you're feeling like a lot of pain day in and day out, you're probably overdoing it a little bit, and it's okay to take a day, even if you don't want to stop, make one of your training days just yoga, make one of your days just a day to stretch, give yourself almost like a recovery day. It doesn't have to be a day off, just make it yoga and stretching. Use
proper form.
Always extremely important. A lot of people don't realize this, but the mirrors in gyms, not to look at yourself. They're to check your form.
Take care of your joints.
Yeah, that's where the ice comes in. Anytime you're feeling sore, if you know you have a bad knee, ice is great. One of the big things it can do is help prevent inflammation after a big workout.
And of course, the most important one, listen to your body.
Yes. Yeah, like I mentioned before, like if you're having sharp stabbing pains, it's usually your body trying to tell you something. But
Anybody got any questions?
Albert? You're on
You're
mute.
on mute, Albert.
Just press the little microphone in the bottom left-hand corner. See that? If you press that, you should unmute yourself.
I can hit ask to unmute and the question will come.
Press that
Dan's got a
little
question.
microphone in the corner. There you go.
What would you tell a person if he's injured and he is very nervous and very upset about it? And what is the good thing to tell the injured person?
oh, right. So usually, so for an athletic trainer, I usually get to work with my athletes through the whole process, which can be helpful. So I was usually there when they got hurt, and then I'm there for the rehab program. So if someone's nervous about an injury, we'll take it slow in rehab, and we'll do a lot of testing of the injury. You know, I'll help show them how much stronger the injury is, whatever it is. I've done that a lot. Like here's this, like do this squat, do a one-legged squat. Just like look how strong your injury is. Look how strong your knee is, and then just have them try it slowly. Like whenever you're nervous about injury, like I'm not just gonna say, all right, go in and run that 200-mile, or like let's go play a full soccer game. Like you're gonna ease back into it if you're nervous. Like let's try this run, let's try this, let's try a couple of drills, see how you feel. So that way you can slowly get back into it, and just, you know, every step of the way, just try to like see where they're at mentally, see where you're at physically, to let them work through that process of making sure that the knee is as strong, or the ankle, whatever the injury, making sure it's as strong as they feel like it needs to be.
Thank you.
Dan, do you want to ask your question next?
Yes. Stephanie,
Yes.
I may ask you one quick question for you. I was watching TV and I was watching sports, and I love watching hockey. And what they do, they fights,
Yes.
the cross-checkings, body checks, and in basketball too.
Or the cross.
In hockey, yes. In injury, I was watching basketball on TV. They had injuries.
Right.
Thanks for sharing that, Dan. I think
Thank
we
you.
see a lot of it on TV, right?
Yeah, I know. And sometimes we see them wave the athletic trainers onto the,
I'll say I've covered both,
Court.
and it's certainly easier to get onto the basketball court than it was to get on the hockey ice.
Or football, because I was watching a NFL game and they actually had to rush a medical trainer out because he actually collapsed,
Oh
and
yeah.
they had to cancel the game because of that.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty scary.
It was so looking up they did make it up the game, but I
Yeah.
was surprised what happened.
Mm.
Now I was looking forward to watching it. I'm
Thank you.
everything sports related. Living with 4 boys. Yeah.
Natasha, you have your hand up. Did you have a question for Stephanie and Abby?
Yeah, sure. So Stephanie, since I'm a health coach and also a health leader, like I realize, like I do coach right in like when I have like individuals. Yeah, I do. Like have you seen videos? Like on YouTube that there's Leslie Sansone, Patricia Simmons, Jane Fonda. They give really good tips all about what you said earlier. And also as a health coach and also in a health leader, we have to be careful, like, because I am receiving medical forms right from doctors, like so I know how they perform the actual exercises, like at the gym. What so because I know in Quinnipiac they do have these screenings, that sort of thing. But as a coach and a leader, we have to know that, correct?
I think it's helpful to know. I mean, unless you're leading them through it, or they're struggling with it. Like I said, form's important. So if someone's not getting better, or if they feel like they're getting worse, one of the things we'll do is we'll have an athlete come in and like show me what you're doing in the off season, or show me how you're doing the exercise, so we can evaluate their form and see like, okay, are you doing it incorrectly? Are you maybe lifting wrong, and that's what's causing this new injury? Are you doing the exercise inefficiently, and that's why you're not getting better? Like that's and that's why it's helpful to know how to do the exercises correctly. Not necessarily to teach it if they need help learning it, but more so to evaluate if someone's not getting better, or if someone got injured working out.
Oh, that happened to me, getting off a bike at the gym.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Deb, what do you think?
Great job, Natasha. Okay, John has his hand up. You want to ask your question, John?
Oh, come on.
Oh, I think you're on mute, John. Unmute yourself there. Just press the microphone in the corner there. There you go.
So Stephanie, is it a good idea to tell your doctors when you get hurt?
I mean, it depends. There's a lot of little soreness. Like if you strained your hamstring, no, I see. If you strain your hamstring or something, you're just a little sore, you can always ice and see how you feel in a couple days. If you roll your ankle and it's bright purple and 3 sizes too big the next day, yeah, call your doctor. If you get a bruise, again, yeah, ice and give it a couple days. Like it's kind of a varying. If it seems minor, you can always ice and see how you feel in a couple days. If it looks like a pretty bad injury, yeah, it's usually a good idea to reach out and let someone know. But you just have to listen to your body, sort of gauge how bad it is. I mean, you don't want to like put yourself in a situation where you have to go, especially this day and age with like co-pays and everything, and the lines for the doctor. You don't want to run off every time, like it's for every injury, but certainly some of the big ones, it's always definitely better to get seen before it gets worse. especially if you're gonna keep playing. But yeah, like there's some injuries you can certainly ice, stretch it out and see how it goes. But certainly for some of the really bad injuries, lots of swelling, lots of pain, always a good idea to get checked out. Oh yeah, Kimberly. Changing weight. So when you're exercising, one of the first things to look at is your goals. So if you're going for strength gains, you're usually going for high weights, low reps, right? So you want a weight that you're only going 5 or 6 times. If you're going for an endurance, you're going for a weight that you're going to lift 12 to 15 times. So that's your first step. The biggest thing, again, good form. So whatever you're lifting, good form. And the biggest thing people forget is you're lifting it up, but you want to be able to control it on the way down. A lot of people just lift it and then they drop. It's bad for your joints. And I think it's a waste of motion because there's a lot of muscle. It's called eccentric muscle. If you're controlling it on the way down, you're still building muscle in this direction, right? So it's very good to control it on the way down. So for either one of those, the best way to decide when to change and increase the weight is when it's too easy, really, is the first thing. So if you're doing 5 or 6 and you're like, wow, I feel like I do like, you've reached 6, you're like 7, like you can say, like, I can still go. Look into upping the weight. But then at the same time, if you up the weight and you can't get to 5, or you feel like you have to compromise your form to get to it, then I would go back to the other one and then just increase the reps until you can increase the weight without compromising form.
So as a coach, like me, I do weights, I had built up from like 1 pound to 5 pounds. So when I coach like individuals, they had to follow in my steps so they don't injure themselves, correct?
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, everybody's gonna be different. It depends on their goals. Yeah, you see what they want, see what works for them, and again, just the biggest thing is form. Always form, because you don't want anybody to hurt themselves. So yeah, 1 to 5, like there's
Yeah, like for me, I can't lift anything like super heavy, so that's why I stick with the lower, like between 2 and 5
okay.
pounds.
Yeah.
Because with my core muscle tone, it doesn't help.
Yeah,
So that's why I try to use easier weight number.
I mean, there's different ways too. They have exercise bands too, which
Oh,
can be
yeah.
helpful. Because what you can do with the exercise bands as opposed to weights can be hard because, right, you don't have a lot of options between 2 and 5, right? So you can feel like you're stuck at 2 and not ready for 5. But with an exercise band, what you can do is you can change the tightness a little bit. Like you can, wait, hold on, I'll grab one.
I got plenty of those at my house.
Really?
Same here.
Yeah.
I just got more bands
The
because
exercise bands.
Yeah,
I actually completed the May challenge and I actually got more exercise bands.
So Kim, how do you-
Exercise band. Yeah, I love resistant bands. I'll be like,
Yeah, so we have like TheraBand here. Not you can buy
Oh,
like the actual
yes.
cords though.
I have those.
So like these go up in sizes, but so you can pull like this, and then if I want more tightness, I just pull on it a little bit tighter, like shorten it, and this makes it harder to pull. And if I want it looser, this is looser. And then if I need more increasing, that kind of thing. So this gives me more variability in how strong I want it to be. So this can give you more options in changing up weight resistance.
Nice job.
I had that too, because.
Yeah,
instead
I
of-
got tons of bands here.
Yeah.
I have,
They also make cords, and the cords you can't like, I mean, you couldn't wrap around your hand, but like you could change your resistance, like where you step on the cord, in the same idea. If you shorten the cord versus lengthen the cord, you can change how strong and how much effort it's giving you.
So like, for example, like when I coach my individuals, that or depend if they're like beginner and advanced and they're also intermediate. So I have to figure out a way, like a beginner is light, and then intermediate is in the middle. That would be like somewhere between about like between like 4 and 5, and then advanced is going up a notch, correct?
Yes. It's also how you move the muscles can be different. Like for example, just doing this can be pretty easy. Whereas if you come out to here, this can be a little bit tougher. So there's different types of movement that are harder versus easier. So you can usually look those up. You can get a whole different workout kind of thing. Same with like, so rotator cuff. If you do rotator cuff up here, it's difficult, but the same one doing here is the same motion. It works the same muscles, but down here is easier versus up here, which is harder. So this would be an advancement of the same workout. I see Carly's muscles sore up the next day.
If let's say I feel my butt from riding my bike so much, or my whole arms and legs from a 5K event the next day.
Yeah. So an event like a 5K is usually something you train for. So that would be, that kind of soreness, usually a little more extreme, but.
Could it be because I don't stretch enough?
Yes and no. I mean, like I said, 5K is a little bit more of an extreme event,
Yeah.
if you will. It's a little bit longer of a race than say like a normal workout. So feeling sore after a 5K, I say is normal.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good idea to, I would say after a big event like that, stretching the next day is good. Treating with ibuprofen is good. It's okay to rest for a couple days after that.
Yeah.
So recovering from a 5K can be a process in and of itself, because it's such a big event. Normally it's okay to, soreness the day after a workout is not necessarily a bad thing. It just means you did a good job working out, right?
Yeah.
If you're not sore the day after a workout, I would almost say you didn't do enough in a way. Like you don't want to be so sore you can't walk and you can't lift anything. That means you did way too much, right? But if you wake the next day and you don't feel like you did anything, then it's safe for you to increase your workout a little bit.
I always thought it was the opposite, where if you don't feel anything, you did good.
I don't know about not anything, like
Yeah.
you want to be working your muscles to their limit a little bit. It's how
Yeah.
you go building muscle, right? Because if you're not pushing yourself to the next level, then all you're really doing is maintaining, which is fine too.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to increase muscle strength and improve, then you should be a little bit like, again, you should never be like dying of pain and unable to walk and unable to move.
Yeah.
But you should know that you worked out the day before, if that makes sense. Because that
Yeah.
means you push
yeah, I'm
yourself a
always
little bit.
apologizing to people if I walk like I'm an old lady the next
Sometimes
day.
I do too.
That's like
Yeah.
me doing the treadmill, because I actually increased my time to like sometimes I do like
Right.
50 or 60 minutes. And sometimes it feels like jelly after the fact.
Yeah, it helps to have like measurable goals too, right? Increasing.
Yeah,
the
because
time
I
on the
try and do
treadmill.
workouts of 30
Right.
minutes or more.
Yeah, like did I increase my time? Did I increase my speed? Did I increase reps or weight? Like measurable goals can be helpful. Same idea, but like if you have a little bit of soreness, that's okay. You don't want to have a lot of soreness because you don't want to prevent yourself from keeping up with your workouts. But you know, you want to feel yourself getting stronger. That's good. But at the
Yeah,
same
well,
time, like, yeah.
I've been trying to do a lot of arm exercises for my next big thing,
There you go.
for climbing down a building
Over the edge.
over the edge.
Well, guys, it's 1 minute to 1, believe it or not. That was so much great information that hour just flew. Does anybody have any last, and especially anybody who hasn't asked a question yet, does anybody have any more questions before we wrap up? I want to be cognizant of everybody's time. Now, that
No,
was,
but I
yeah.
was
go ahead,
gonna tell you, Stephanie. I know the guy that fixes the ice machine for you.
Yeah, you were saying that. It was actually I haven't had to use him this year because he did a great job of teaching me how to fix my ice machine. So he's been great.
Yeah, well, he was my teammate in Seattle. Rich, yeah.
So,
Yeah, he was
My
my
oldest
teammate.
sister lives in Seattle.
Yeah, no, he was my teammate in 2018.
nice.
Yeah, so we still, yeah, yeah, if I ever want to have a debate with someone, I just text him.
But yeah, those guys are great because he didn't just come in and fix it. He was like really nice. He let me look over his shoulder and he taught me a few tricks to keep it going. Because our ice machine is like 30 years old, but it's still kicking.
Great. Do you ever use heat instead of ice, or it's always ice?
I do actually. I mean, if you want that little tip, so I like ice for pain. Like if you're having pain, ice is a great way to numb pain and prevent inflammation. But if you're sore and tight, heat is a great way to loosen it up and help you stretch it out. So
Well,
It's like 30 minutes ice, 30 minutes heat.
it's great. I
You
learned
also
so much. I don't know
do-
about you guys, but I thought
Yeah,
this.
I learned so much. Yeah, oh, Debbie,
Great.
you might want to check your text messages. I texted you earlier.
Oh, you did? Okay, I will check that out. Excellent.
Because I need you
again,
to
that was
send me
fantastic.
another incentive tracking sheet.
Oh, okay, yeah. Do you need the paper one, or did I just send it as an attachment for you?
You can send it as an attachment
Okay,
to
I'll
my
send you one
email
over.
because and I had a question about points for today too.
Yeah, you did, this was exceptional from your presentation, and Stephanie, such a joy and pleasure to have you. I know that we all really enjoyed and learned, I learned a lot, and a lot of great
too.
questions from everybody. That was great.
Yeah,
And I
no, it
know
was
that the
great.
people that could be on here who are going to get to listen to this are going to learn a lot and really benefit from it too. So thank you both so very much. This has been a tremendous
you,
hour.
Stephanie.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, guys. It was great.
We hope to see you again.
We will.
But not because of an injury, just to learn from you.
Hey, I know where to find her when I'm back.
That's right. I'm
at
almost
Mitchell.
always here.
I know where to find her at Mitchell.
You guys make a great team, the two of you.
Great.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you all for participating, and especially Abby and Stephanie. I hope everybody has a great afternoon, and we'll all get together again soon, okay?
Yeah.
Great.
All right. Take care,
Yeah,
everybody.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.